Hello everyone again. This is Mohammed Degani and I want to talk about how to integrate Simio MATLAB part 2. Again, if you have any question regarding this video, you can contact me at simiomatlab@gmail.com. So, in the second part, I want to talk about how Simio can be called from MATLAB. So, in this type of interaction, we have MATLAB as the main manager in here, which you have your own algorithm, or could be optimization, could be any type of the algorithm in here. So basically, you want to call Simio to run the experiments inside the simulation software to get the outcome or the responses. So basically, you have to somehow trigger Simio inside from MATLAB. So you consider that you have a loop, that you change some index values, and every time you change those values, you're going to get the new outcome from your simulation model. It's kind of running some experiments inside the simulation software. So what we do here, once you change the index, you wanna call Simio to run the simulation model to get the new responses. So you assume that you have a simulation model inside Simio, is that right? And then you put the inputs by changing the controls. So you change the controls, you run the simulation model for a number of replication, and you get your experiment responses or experiment response. So you may want to change the controls again and rerun the simulation one more time. So what you do is you change the controls, you call Simio again, and you get the response after that. So this is basically an iterative link between Simio and MATLAB, which in this case MATLAB calls Simio. Okay, so now I want to talk about what are the applications of this type of integration. So Simio is again a powerful software for simulation modeling. MATLAB is great for doing the calculation and optimizing, running some experiments. So the first application would be for solution or scenario evaluation. Once you have multiple controls and you want to evaluate the impact of each or combination of those for your simulation model, you can easily implement that inside MATLAB. MATLAB changes the controls and you get the results from the Simio. And you have gonna have this iterative type of connection between these two to get your desired outcome. The second application would be for multi-objective solution evaluation. Once you have more than one objective and you're gonna have your own algorithm, non-weighted algorithm, could be any other type of multi-objective algorithm. You can easily implement that in MATLAB and get the solution from the Simio as a simulation environment. And the last part would be having table experiment optimization. So once you have your input data as the table, could be inside Excel, could be inside MATLAB. So you really do not need to define multiple controls inside Simio. You simply can put all of those numbers inside a table, which could reside inside Excel or MATLAB, and every time you change those numbers all at the time from MATLAB, and then ask or call Simio to run the experiment based on the new data inside the table. So by having this integration, you can have a variety of different innovative options to run the simulation model inside Simio. So please add your comments. Please provide me more applications about this integration and mention them in the comments. So I want to talk about how we can implement this. So same as part 1, it's very simple and easy. You just download a zip file from the link that I provided in the comments. So it also includes a couple of the other files. Then locate your Simio file inside the folder that I provided to you and set up the experiment inside the Simio, because you have to know what the experiment is. And then use this algorithm that I'm going to show you in here to run a Simio experiment inside a MATLAB. So let's do it right now. So basically what you have to do is you have to download this part 2, right click and say download, unzip the folder. So if you unzip this, you're gonna get part 2 like this. So there are multiple files inside here, and one thing that you have to make sure that you have it is you should have your simulation model inside this folder. So the example that they picked is the Simio example hospital emergency department, that you also can get it from your Simio directory, Simio example directory. And so if I open it, you're going to see that this is an emergency department that is simulated inside Simio. So for this Simio file, an experiment is defined. So if you go to experiment, you're going to see that there is an experiment called name 1. So it's the name of the experiment. So we have 10 replications for that one. We have two controls. One is number of nurses, the other one is number of doctors. And we have two responses. One is the cost of staff, the other one is average length of stay. So basically, whenever you change the controls, you're going to see different values for the responses. Now, instead of changing those inside Simio or using the opt quiz, I'm going to use my own algorithm to run this experiment and change those values and see which one gives me the best outcome. So let's do it right now. So if you go back to the folder part 2, you can see that I have also one MATLAB file which is called Simio. So if you open it, in this file I try to put the comments for you to easily change them and see the outcome. So for this file I have a for loop in here. So I have for, I'm changing I from 1 to 5. Okay. So whenever I'm changing this I, I'm basically changing, I believe, number of nurses from 1 to 5. I want to see the effect of, also I'm changing the number of doctors at the same time from 1 to 5, and I want to see the effect of those changes on my model. So again, this is a very simple example, but you can have a variety of different models that you're going to, with multiple controls that you want to change. Okay, great. So I define my file path. So my folder, which is part 2, is resides in C-test part 2. So define your own path in here, and also define your simulation model name. So my Simio file is hospital emergency department.spfx. So these are the inputs that you have to provide in part 1. Then I have to define my scenario. So this is the way that you're going to define your scenarios. Okay. So basically, for every single experiment that you have some controls, you have some responses. Is that right? So first I have to define my scenarios or my controls. The way that we define it is like this. I have a string like this. I put the experiment number like 1. So if I go back to Simio, you're going to see the same number inside this experiment. So the name of my experiment is 001. So if you have different name for it, you can change it. Then I decided I picked the first control, which is number of nurses, and then I'm changing the number of that to I. So this num to string converts a number which is I to a string, because I just want to define a string for the whole experiment. Then you put this line to separate the other control. So if you want to put the delimiter, you're going to put this line in here to say, okay, from now I'm defining my second control. What's my second control? Number of doctors. So again, the experiment number 001. Number of doctors is just a string. Is that right? And then I set this value to, again, num to string I. So when I is changing, also number of doctors is changing. So at the end, I'm just going to have one string. That's it. And this string going to be my input. So the shape of the format of this string at the end, like for one iteration, is like this. So 00, the control name and the control value. If you want to put the second control, you're going to put the experiment number, the control name 2, the control value 2. That's it. Okay. And for the rest, you don't need to change anything else. So basically, you just complete part 1 and part 2. In part 1, you define the file path and you define the file name. In part 2, you define the controls and the values that you want to set for your experiment. So now, since I'm running this one for 5 times, every time I'm changing the number of nurses and number of doctors from 1 to 5, I'm going to see the output. So this one displays the output for us. I'm going to get the results from this function, and then you do not need to change the rest of the algorithm. That's it. So I run this to see how it works. So basically I have to run it 5 times and get 5 different responses for my experiment. So as you can see here, for the first one I got this staff cost as this and average length of stay as this. So this is for experiment 2. It's changing the staff cost and it's changing the average length of stay. So, and for experiment 3, so the same thing is changing experiment 4 and finally experiment 5. So this is the way that you can run Simio experiments using MATLAB. You easily can change your controls and get the responses from Simio. It's going to be a great tool for you to develop simulation optimization frameworks if you want to evaluate different configurations and changing those from MATLAB and get the output from the Simio. So let me wrap up my presentation. As I said, you can find if you want to do this, I just explained that how you can do it. You can get the download link from the comments of this video, and if you have further question about this, you can contact me at simiomatlab@gmail.com. Thank you so much.